Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us, taking a look at our video webinar of the Plant Content Management System. Today, we're going to give you a brief overview of the platform, talk about some of the new features, and give you a little bit of a look under the hood of what Plant is all about. With me today, my team, obviously, my name is Doug Henderson. I'm the Director of Innovation at Accelerant Solutions. I'm joined by my former innovation specialist, Jessica Hernandez, and my partner in crime with our partners at Technitom, Mr. Antonio Cruzado. So I'll start with an overview of the platform. Plant is an integrated platform. Its function is to manage, author, and deliver content. So it does all of those things. And it's especially designed to handle complex system training, complex component level training, but also basic fundamentals and interrelations between various types of content. You can see on the screen there's the different sections. This is a screenshot of the dashboard for the platform. We have a Content Explorer area. You'll hear me refer to it as a warehouse on occasion. It is the warehouse of information. The training catalog for all your approved lesson plans. Those are the two areas that students can see. The remainder of the sections, workflows, the platform has a fully integrated workflow process. It's electronic, including comments, approvals, reviews, etc. And then the last two, configuration control and tools, those we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about the benefits of the platform. We're going to show you a short 3-minute video that kind of summarizes an overview of the platform. I'll talk through it briefly, but I'll let you enjoy the video for the most part. So the benefits of the Plant platform are pretty simple. The idea of training for the longest time has been management at the lesson plan level. What Plant does is changes that perspective to manage training at the content level. By doing that, the different pieces of content that are created are only maintained once in the warehouse, and those pieces of content are what are utilized to actually create a lesson plan. So, as an example, you see a single diagram there that can be scaled, allowing it to be used in multiple different training settings. But if something were to change, a modification to the Plant, for example, that diagram only has to be modified one time, and the configuration control system will let you know everywhere that diagram is used, as well as everything that contributes to that diagram, and your management of that one piece of content is made much simpler. The video is going to show you some of the features that we'll talk about later on during the webinar. This particular feature here is our slide builder. It's fairly recently added, and this is a initial view of it. We'll show you the updated view of it. The video is also going to show you some of the innovative technology that we can incorporate into our platform, 3D models, VR technology, etc. Plant also contains a host of different activities that can be built inside the platform and utilized within the training. Here you're seeing our VR capabilities, also part of the platform. The platform does have the ability to export any lesson plan that you create in SCORM format. So if you're not interested in having the platform itself or the program, we can develop training for you and export it from the platform, deliver it to you in SCORM format for direct loading into your learning management system. We've done that with a host of customers already. So I mentioned benefits. We believe it's about a 30% reduction in cost from instructor time, but also in some of the methods that we can develop training, the blended learning approach, also student time. It is flexible. It's very flexible and scalable. It is a web-based application, so we can deploy it either inside your firewall or in the cloud. Either way affords 24/7 access to both your students and your instructors, as well as your qualified operators and technicians who can use Plant as a study tool or a variety of other uses. So that kind of gave you a quick overview. We'll go into a little bit more depth here, and we'll start with content authoring. As I mentioned, it is a content authoring tool. We're going to play a video that shows the most up-to-date version of the slide builder, and it's showing you how some of this actual presentation was created and how quick it can be done. What we did with the slide builder effectively is we added all of the tools from some of the more popular authoring tools that are out there, such as PowerPoint, Captivate, Storyline. Maybe 60 to 80% of those features, the ones that we typically use, and we put those into the platform in a manner to where we can grab that content, the objective related content in the warehouse, inject that into the slide, and then build features around it for the interactivity piece. It works very well. You can see here we're building a flip card. We have the ability to create activated buttons, and eventually you'll see we'll use the slide builder to create a section with tabs. So all of the features that you're used to seeing, but take that and put it around the content, and you can see how you can quickly develop some very interactive and interesting training. Let that play for a little bit longer. One of the things that is being done in this slide builder, once you've completed your template, if you will, or the structure that you would like for a certain type of slide, those can be saved in block properties. And so the next time you create a slide with a similar messaging or a similar style of design, you can drag and drop that block property, and you don't have to start from scratch every time. So, and you can have multiple versions of slides. That same thing applies to the lesson plan as a whole. For you as a customer, we will develop a template using your branding, and that's the template that gets used for any of the lesson plans that we develop. So effectively for the slide builder, the left side of the screen, that information there is the type of slide and the location of where you're pulling from, which is drag and drop, whether it's a text box or you're dragging from the library content, etc. On the right side is where once you drag that into the slide, then you manipulate it, whether that be color or size or font, those types of properties for that particular block. So we've completed a flip card, we've completed a button, and now we're going to throw together a slide section. The library content, you can also add multiple versions or multiple pieces of that library content. Anything that's in the library as content should be objective related content. So if I were to build a slide with these tabs, each tab could have a different piece of objective related content on it. An example would be I could drag a P&ID style diagram into each tab, and I could manipulate that diagram using the scalability features to show a different aspect of the system. And there we go. So the slide's been created. We save that, take a preview of it, and you can see the flip card with the text. We have a button with all of the types of learning, methods of learning, and then a few tabbed items that describe each of those different practices. So within the platform, you saw a few of them, but the different types of content types that we offer are expansive. As you would expect, documents, whether that's a Word document or a PDF, the various types of multimedia, that's VR, video, standard video like MPEG, pictures such as JPEGs, and then VR photos, which are static. In the engineering side of things, of course, the diagram and then the data sheets that go along with it. Data sheets would be component level information. We have a library of about 70 3D models, which we utilize during projects and incorporate those into the training where appropriate, and those are yours to keep. Also, recently we've added the ability to add point cloud files. That's what the PC stands for. So if you've had your station laser mapped, if we can gain access to those point cloud files, we can also incorporate those. And then from the SAP process, lesson plan, which actually we have retitled that as a IP for interactive presentation. Objectives are actually individual pieces of content. And then the AFG, AMC, those are activities. So activity multiple choice and activity fill in the gap. So we'll show you a few videos with some examples, and I'll talk through those as the videos are playing. This video is, of course, showing you an example of a 3D model. All of our 3D models are built and operate the same within the platform. They typically will have some annotations of parts. They'll have some motion, as you can see, and you can manipulate the model on both the 2D and 3D axis, zooming in and out, all done with your mouse. And for every model, you'll see there's the little question mark next to that annotation button in the upper left. If you forget how to manipulate the model, there's a short video on each model that would tell you how to manipulate it. Another item that we want to show you is, of course, virtual reality. This is a huge innovative technique that we utilize. Typically, we have to rely on the utility to help us out with that to gain the content. But once we get that, we can incorporate it into the platform, and you'll see that you saw just now that a data sheet was opened from this virtual reality photo of the plant. So one of the things that all of our content can do is it can be linked together through what we call tags or hotspots. These links can be placed on any type of content, and they use the ID of the particular item, whether it be a valve number, pump number, etc., to automatically bring all of that content together. So here we've clicked on a steam generator data sheet. We launched it from that hotspot, and now you can see every other picture, document. If you had a video, you get a list of properties for that component, as well as a description of that component. It's all done as in the platform automatically. From a single diagram, as you'll see here, diagram is kind of where that can start from. So the diagram itself can be scaled using layers. It has so you can see how this diagram started with an Alpha and Bravo train, but I'm slowly but surely going to turn different layers on, and that would change the audience that particular information applies to. When I have them all on, I'm at the ILO, if you will, level of that particular diagram. The other thing we can load in there are different conditions. They're pre-programmed into the diagram, so different flow paths that the system can utilize to perform its function. That's the system level. The same way that those hotspots work in a diagram, the components themselves can launch the data sheet. So here you see we're looking at a data sheet of the pump. And again, it has all the same features. It pulls in any related content, gives properties of that particular component, also a description of it. So we showed you the scalability of the diagram. We've had that feature for quite some time. The new feature that we've added is now the data sheet itself. And this particular video is showing you the data sheet as a full screen view rather than the compact view you saw earlier from the diagram. So here you see we can scale the information in that data sheet to the audience, and it's pretty extensive for each technical rate. The 3 levels, basically beginner, intermediate, and expert. And we added in a general category and an other category for those groups that may not fit in the accredited program mold. So as you're building your training, your lesson plan, and you're utilizing certain types of content, that scalability feature is really what allows you to use that one diagram or that one data sheet to appeal to multiple audiences. So if you think about that for a second, one thing Plant affords is all of your instructional staff will be adding content to that warehouse. And as they tag those different pictures, I'll give my personal example. The maintenance mechanics go out and do a diesel outage and take a couple hundred pictures, tag those all for the diesel. Now all 200 pictures show up in that related content. You may not want your chemistry technicians to have to filter through or look through 200 photos to get to the information that they actually need. And so the scalability would allow you to turn off the portions that apply to maintenance and only view what's applicable to the chemist. So enough about content authoring. Let's shift gears and talk about content management. This is one of the 2 benefits of the platform that are most extensive. The content management process, here you can see the electronic comment being made. The comment has been entered. Those comments can be replied to. They can be closed and utilized to conduct a review of the entire lesson plan as it's developed. That's also used for into a piece of content as well, because that diagram that we showed earlier or that data sheet, those 2 have to go through a complete review process. However, that review and approval process is also customizable. So it could be something as simple as instructor goes out in the field, takes a photo of a certain component, and you allow that to be reviewed and approved by the person taking the photo. Maybe you add a reviewer for a peer check, or up to and including a full review like you would do for a lesson plan. That's something that we can help you to make those determinations on how you handle that. Here you see we're now ready to, so it's at the final review, and so the supervisor can just click on approve the change, and now it's approved. Once it's approved, that piece of content or interactive presentation will now appear in the warehouse and in the training catalog if it's a lesson plan. So while it's in the workflow area, it's not visible by the students. Additionally, for our content management, you can see there's a record or summary of the changes, as well as it keeps track of any changes to your review process, and it does that for every single version or revision of that item. The configuration control is the second element of the content management system. As you can see here, this is depicting how I can take a single Word document or a single diagram, and I can use it in multiple lesson plans. The system knows where those are at. So when you activate or manipulate the configuration control, it will give you a quick pop-up list of all of the dependents, meaning everywhere that document is utilized by something else. So that lesson plan is dependent on that document. But it also can give you a list of dependencies. So in the case of that diagram, for example, there may be several other types of content that are contributing to that diagram. So it would give you a list of all of those dependencies that could be affected if I make changes to this diagram. Once you make the change to the diagram, for example, in this example, it's showing that that diagram was being utilized by 2 of the interactive presentations. Those interactive presentations would have a warning flag that would tell you that that diagram has been revised, and it would give you a preview of what that revision looks like. And you can quickly accept those changes, follow the SAP process, of course, and now you've basically approved that change in all of your lesson plans. We've taken it one step further, however. Here you see a more complex view of the configuration control. The intermediate step that we've added is we can now create learning objects in Plant. So the learning object would include the objective, any of the content, and the activities, metadata, all of that would be packaged in a learning object, which in effect is like a lesson plan. But then you can take that learning object and you drag that into the lesson plan from the warehouse. And if I want to cover 7 objectives, I grab those 7 learning objects, and all of my content, activities, everything is incorporated automatically. This is also beneficial, as you can imagine, if you had 10 objectives for your initial training, you're going to attempt to do some requal training, and you only need to talk about 5 of those 10 objectives. You go grab the 5 learning objects into a new requal lesson plan, and your requal training is ready to go. Remember that once you drag the content into the lesson plan, you can also take advantage of the scalability features in Plant to manipulate that content for the audience and the reason for the training. Speaking of which, content delivery. We've developed the platform to be able to support blended learning. The Accelerant team has come up with our build process. And the build process, build stands for Blended Use of Interactive Learning Delivery. So we're going to show you a video of our newest feature that fits right in with blended learning, and that is adaptive learning. We have already done a few pilots of the adaptive learning process, and we're super excited about what this can do for the industry. Each adaptive learning lesson plan or module is created using learning objects. The front matter of the lesson plan is basically the same. We're going to provide the student with the objectives and any other messaging that you would normally provide. But then they get that warning screen that you saw there that tells them you're about to embark on this quiz. They go through the quiz. In most of the examples we've done, maybe 4 questions per objective with a pass-fail rate of got to get 3 out of 4 to be successful. At the conclusion of the quiz, it's going to give them a results page. They have a couple of options. They can go back into the index for the lesson plan. It'll show them which ones they got correct and which ones they got incorrect. They can go back and review the results of those questions. For those that are incorrect, it'll tell them what the correct answer is. As you can see, I only passed one of the objectives, and that one's marked as complete. The others are not marked complete. So the student goes into the results trophy that will show them, okay, this objective I've mastered, it's green. I don't have to review that content, although they are capable of it. Go to the next objective, they were not successful. Therefore, it will not let them move or advance any further in the lesson plan until they go to that content and go through it. We've tried to make this so that it is intuitively obvious to the student on making their way through the training, the required training, but also giving them the opportunity to review some of the training that, although they mastered it, they may still want to look through it. So a lot of flexibility there. Outside of adaptive learning, of course, we build several different types of lesson plans. One of the ways that we're able to do the blended learning process, regardless of how we developed the material, is we've added some additional features. So traditional lesson plans, we keep speaker notes, and those speaker notes have different purposes, but by and large, they are used at a minimum to standardize the delivery from one instructor to the next. They're guidelines to the instructor on how to teach the material. Because we're dealing with self-paced, self-taught learning and the possibility of other types of blended learning approaches like facilitating, we've added a couple of features. The first being audience notes. So audience notes do similar to what the speaker notes, except it's your way to talk to the student from afar when they're approaching the training from a self-paced, self-taught, or facilitated approach. Some examples. in a facilitated approach where maybe you want to do a group exercise, you could provide the exercise details in the audience notes. The students would get together and solve that exercise, and then the instructor would facilitate the discussion of how each group came to their conclusion. For any of the audio files or video files that we create, those are done with a script and a voice, not a human voice. We have some tools that technology has advanced pretty far, so it's a very real voice. Any of those scripts, we will put that in the audience notes. So although the student is hearing the audio file or watching the video and hearing the voice of the person describing what they're seeing in the video, the text version of that script will be in the audience notes. Some other uses for the audience notes could be operating experience, maybe a C-story, as I like to say. But also you could provide further information or detail to help with maybe the most difficult concept that the slide covers. Sometimes hearing in a different way can be beneficial. The other tool that we've added to make that even better is we've added a video feature. And it's not showing what you would see if you were in the development phase right now, because this is an approved lesson. However, you would see an emblem there in the blank white space. And when you click on that emblem, it would turn on the developer's laptop camera or whatever camera they have attached to their computer. And just like I'm sitting here, I would then be able to record up to a 5-minute video for that slide, and it stays with that slide. You could also, if you had recorded the instructor delivering the training in the classroom, you could take that video, splice it up, and put the section where they talk about this particular slide in that video slot. So a couple of different ways to use that video, but again, it's a way for the instructional staff to communicate with the student when their instructor is not in the classroom. All of those methods can be combined in every single lesson. So as an example, if I took the objectives of a typical system lesson, the first 4 objectives are typically related to draw on the system, the major component functions, the purpose of the system itself, and maybe some flow paths, basic flow path. Those can be done self-paced, self-taught in most cases. The second third of those objectives is typically where you start to interact with other systems. Maybe you get into some of the whys. Those can be done in that facilitated method. Give them a group exercise, maybe 4 in a group, whatever, and they go through that exercise that you provide in the audience notes, but the instructor comes in and closes that up with a discussion of the conclusions that the groups make. The last third of a system lesson, you get into tech specs and maybe some of the AOP, EOP type response to casualties. Those objectives tend to fall closer or in the higher order learning objective category. And so the instructor comes into the room and teaches those at the podium. So a single lesson plan could see all 3 of those methods, and Plant is conducive to all 3. So our goal today was to kind of give you an overview of some of the new features, an overview of the Plant platform as a whole, talk about some of the benefits. We did this quickly, but what we hope is that you scan this QR code and you can go to our Accelerant Solutions channel to learn more about the product. This video will be there if you want to rewatch it and pause, because I went fairly quickly. There's other videos about Plant with regards to 3D models, VR technology, also our core interactive fundamentals program and serious games that we can create, and other Accelerant products as well. And once you watch those videos and you want to learn more about Plant, please contact me at the email address listed here, Doug Henderson at accelerantech.com. I will respond to your email quickly, same day service. We can set up a private demo with you and your team and talk about how we can help you elevate your training program. That concludes our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.